Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen.
Right, so in today's episode, we are going to be reacting to a video of a black woman living in Greece who talks about her experience and the little microaggressions and racism she faced while living there.
Yeah, so guys, bear in mind that this is just one person's experience and it does not represent the experience of every black person who has visited or wants to visit Greece.
Right, and we want to also talk about, bring to your attention that for a black person, if you're going to live in a foreign country or if you're going for a visit, please take your money, because it's so sad to hear what happened to her, guys. Take your money in a country that will accept you. Do your research and see what country accepts people of your own kind, and look at the reviews of that particular country. But before we talk too much, let's first watch this video and then we come back and talk about it. Remember to subscribe if it's your first time here. Also leave us a comment on what you think about this episode. Let's watch.
I'm going to do something fairly brave right now, and I'm going to tell you guys the truth. And since 90% of my audience are Americans and about 80% are Black Americans, it'd be extremely irresponsible not to be honest about this. As you guys know, I've been having a very shit time in Greece. I really hate living here. And so I called in a couple of my friends to keep me company and cheer me up, and we organized this months ago, so I couldn't really flake on it. So that's the only reason why I'm still in Greece right now, is because I was waiting for them to come, because I don't want to ruin our girls' trip, right? And right now I'm feeling both heartbroken and validated, because my friends are having the exact same experience in Greece as I am. Not all of my friends have, because one of my friends is white. Now keep this in mind, this is important. To put it bluntly, the harassment and racism is nonstop. One of my friends, she's very tall, beautiful black woman. She has a lot of tattoos, she's alternative, she attracts a lot of attention. Twice men have come up to her, put their hands on her from behind her, and one of them actually whispered some disgusting things in her ear, and I literally yelled at him in public in front of God and everybody, and he didn't argue with me. He just like walked away like a coward. The second time we were in a restaurant and they walked up to her and did the same thing, put their hands on her and tried to startle her and things like that, just completely invading her personal space, and she was like, I did not like that, that was messed up, and he was like, oh, it's okay, I won't do it again. Once a man who was sitting behind us at the beach club started taking a photo of her ass, and we covered her up with like a little shawl, and he was trying to take photos again, except this time front camera mode, pretending like he was taking videos of himself. Once my white friend called a taxi, so her name and image was on the account, and my friend, who is the tall black model, grabbed the taxi door. He immediately locked the door and then sped off, and everybody who was standing there who saw what happened looked like they saw his face and everything. They knew why he did that. They were looking like, oh shit, like just appalled that he did that. And these kinds of things occasionally happen to me too, but honestly I wasn't sure if it was racism or not, because I don't really have much to compare it to. Most of the time when I'm out, I'm either out by myself or with my husband, who's a tall white guy, so you don't know if it's like misogyny, racism, or what. For example, me and my husband came to this shop where it was just me and him, nobody else was in it, and the shopkeeper literally practically threw the menu at me. Keep in mind, ignoring my husband, threw the menu at me, told me something in Greek. I understand one thing that she was saying, like I speak Greek, but I know the food menu items she was saying. She said, we only have this, and I was like, oh, what's that? She really frustratedly calls in one random guy, and he's like, oh, we only have this, this, and this. The entire time this lady's looking at me like this. And even when I asked for the menu, she was like being super rude, rolling her eyes at me. It was very clear that she just wanted us to go the fuck away. And so she was treating me that way, but my husband with me too, and she didn't treat him that way. So I was thinking, okay, maybe she just an asshole. Maybe she's having a bad day. Another time I was sitting on a train, and as soon as I sat my ass down, this Greek woman gets up and she sits in a seat that was exactly like the seat that she was sitting in before, except it was next to a white person and not next to me. Now, I can't say for 100% certainty whether it is racism or not, or if it's like a combination of like racism, sexism, what's going on. But what I do know is that in Athens, I don't know about the rest of Greece, but I know that in Athens, the notion of Greek hospitality is completely dead, especially when it comes to foreigners. I know that as a black person in general, I'm not having a good experience as a foreigner here. It's probably because I'm black, but I can't say for sure. But in general, the anti-foreigner sentiment here and in Europe in general is increasing steadily and steadily, so it makes it a very hostile place to live. And even if you're coming just as a tourist, especially in Athens, where they have like the monuments that people want to see and the museums and stuff like that, you're still going to feel it. I visited other cities, Thessaloniki, Nathio, Ioannina. I've been to other places and I felt a little bit of it, but not so intense. You know, people were mostly nice, but specifically here, I've had a god-awful experience. And the two things that tipped me off to this probably being racism is not just what my friend, who is also a black woman, experienced when she's coming to visit me here, but also the reaction that I got personally when I talked about a sliver of my experience here. I didn't even tell all of it. And I'm not talking about just like trivial things like, oh my gosh, it's too hot, or oh my gosh, someone was mean to me. I'm talking about very, very serious things like me experiencing medical neglect to the point where I have a permanent scar in my eye that's affecting my vision that will never recover because of medical neglect from doctors here in Greece. I'm talking about very expensive accommodation not accommodating me when there are dangerous noise levels next door and I'm literally going borderline psychotic from lack of sleep because I work night shift. I'm talking about people blatantly scamming me and stealing money from me to the tune of thousands of dollars. I'm talking about having my freedom of movement deprived because of government bureaucracy processes. These are very, very serious things. But the local Greek reaction was to mock me for it. And they did not know that I spoke Greek, so I'm seeing these videos on my For You page of people mocking me, calling me a Karen, telling me to get out of their country, saying that I'm just some random rich American because Black female immigrants are clearly walking around living life on easy mode. I was thinking, what is with all of this hostility? You would think that I actually said something bad about the country, but I was like, no, you guys come visit as a tourist, it's fine. Personally, I hate living here, but please come contribute to the economy, acknowledging the privilege that I have more financial resources than a lot of locals, things like that. None of that mattered. They literally just wanted a target, and as a Black woman and an immigrant, I make a very good one. But this is not just online. When you put in the effort to start researching modern and historical Greek culture, start learning the actual language, like I am conversational in Greek because I want to learn more about Greek language, culture, people, and the most usage that I've had for this language is to understand people saying cruel things about me because I shared a very honest, raw experience. That's heartbreaking. Now keep in mind, I have some very interesting videos about Greece. I have like fun haunted Greek cave story. I have videos of me like dancing in the street in Monastiraki Square. I have videos of me telling stories about hanging out with old ladies on the tram and speaking Greek with people. I have all kinds of very cool, uplifting stories about Greece. But if you actually look at the percentage of people who are Greek who are viewing my videos, on all the positive videos, it's only about 2%. On the negative videos, 8% of the viewers are Greek, 8 to 10%. And the reason why Greek hospitality is dead is because life is hard for locals here, and I've explained that multiple times. But I think that even if I were not Black, I'd still be having a pretty bad experience here just because they're less open to foreigners, and it's created a culture of dishonesty, especially in business, so it leads to people getting scammed a lot. Most locals earn the equivalent of about 800 USD a month. There's a lot of corruption, a lot of nepotism, so it's difficult to get a good job, and now they're talking about some BS with a 6-day work week. Life is just not easy. No matter where you're from, your socioeconomic status, whether you're like a refugee or not, in general, immigrants make a very good scapegoat for other people's problems, and that's a trend you can see throughout the entirety of Europe. People saying that rich foreigners are pricing us out of our housing, despite the fact that the people who are taking up this housing make up only about 1% of the population, and they're saying that refugees are the ones taking their jobs, despite the tier of jobs that refugees normally take, not really contributing much to the unemployment rate, things like that. And all of these aren't things that just locals have to deal with. These are things that tourists and also immigrants have to deal with. For example, if you have a medical emergency that you don't plan, just like I did, if it's like a major operation, it's actually not uncommon to have to give your doctor some money on the side to make sure the operation goes well. This is very common, kind of like bribery. Or you can go to a public hospital, like I had to do, and had a very bad experience, and I had bad experience at the private hospitals as well. And I just went to another private hospital and had another bad experience because I have an infection right now and I don't want to get into it. But if you are just visiting as a tourist and God forbid something happens to you and you don't know that, that can be an issue. These things come about because everybody is trying to leave. Greece has the highest rate of depression and stress in the entire EU, and it ranks top 5 as the most stressed place in the world, like on average. Year after year, it's always in the top 5. Because of this, the brain drain in the country is very serious. So this is the truth about what life is like living in Greece from a local perspective and also from the perspective of an immigrant like myself. It is just not a good place to live.
So guys, welcome back. You guys, I know all of you know the power of purchase, right? If you have your own money, you should be able to choose where you spend it, right? And if you feel like I feel like you have to put value on yourself before you spend your dollar, okay? And if the lady talked about the moment when they went to the restaurant and there was that lady who was attending to them, the first thing they did, the attitude that they were showing them, and then her throwing the menu over to her. What kind of treatment is that? Like you could have gone to a very other different countries that would have willingly accepted you and given you better treatment, because I'm very sure it wasn't cheap. Whatever money they spent there was not cheap, right?
Right. And then, for her to come out and speak about her experience, it wasn't just one incident that happened with her. It was an accumulative, events, an accumulation of events that she was brushing off as maybe they're this, maybe they're that, or maybe they're having a bad day, this and that, But it is when her friends came to Greece to have a vacation with her that it confirmed her worst fears, that it wasn't she wasn't hallucinating about these things, but rather there was an undertone of racism in how people were dealing with her.
Yeah, and also we also have to key in the factor that Europe has been having issues with tourists, especially the touristic regions like Greece, right? They've been having Italy, right? They've been having issues with tourists, understandably so, because according to them, we even saw them rioting the other day.
Was that in Greece or in Spain?
In Europe.
Somewhere in Europe,
right?
Maybe
but it was
Spain,
in Europe.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, one of the countries in Europe, and they were rioting because they didn't want tourists in their country. And I feel like I do understand them, because according to them, they said tourists being in the area was driving up prices for the locals.
Everything for the locals.
Yeah, and that is understandable. So that might also explain why they were facing the kind of treatment they were facing. But how does it explain the black friend who she says was beautiful, and people kept on invading her personal space and harassing her sexually?
Yeah, but bottom line, guys, I don't know what to make of this situation. Do you guys think that this was racism, or it was just discrimination, and it had nothing to do with racism in their case? Because when this story first came out, we also heard of other black people who are giving their experiences, and some of them, well, they came to Greece's defense, and they were saying that Greece is a hospitable country. Yet she is here, she's telling us that Greece is not it's not as hospitable as it used to be,
and especially towards black people.
Yeah, and she terms it as because right now they're not in a good economic standing, and people are depressed and frustrated. I don't know, guys, what do you think of, or what do you make of her situation?
Yeah, because I also have to say that this is a very individual experience.
Very, very individual.
Yeah, it's a very individual experience. The fact that she had a bad time, and you're not discounting that, it's very sad what they had to go through, her and her friends. There's also those who are coming out to say that Greece treated them well. They encourage those ones who are rooting for Greece, and they're encouraging black people to go there. But I still say,
my final take is, yeah, even here in Africa, we do have our own problems and whatnot, but there are good places in Africa you can go to.
Spend your money.
Yeah, but there are good places you can go to.
There are good places. There are also those places that are touristic places that a lot of white people visit. Those kind of areas or regions, when you go there, then definitely you will face this kind of discriminations, because they love their pale-colored people, yeah?
Sadly, true.
Yeah, so just in general, just do your own research, and also
the best places to go
and have the go to places that
with the mindset of, I'm the one with the purchasing power, so I'll decide where to spend my money. And before you even sit down, if you notice attitude and people treating you bad, don't stay there and try to prove something that you can afford that place. No,
I feel like it's kind of a difficult case when you say don't stay there. Picture a situation where someone did reservations prior traveling, just like putting things in order, and then you get there, and then that is the only time you realize. Just do your due diligence, but also in your mind, leave that little room for disappointment, so that you don't get too emotional about these things. Just leave the little allowance, because no place is perfect, right? Just do your due diligence, all right? Yeah,
guys, so let us know what you think about this episode, and we'll see you on our next episode. But please remember to subscribe if you've not subscribed.
Right.